a simple beige dress dampened by São Paulo rain. Clara Nascimento stood outside Restaurante Di Luca, wondering if she even belonged here anymore. Her husband owned the establishment, yet after months away handling their other business ventures, she felt like a stranger to its polished marble and crystal chandeliers. Tonight she'd surprise Leonardo, coming early before their anniversary dinner, perhaps stealing a quiet moment together before the evening rush. She didn't know it yet, but this ordinary Tuesday would change everything. Before we dive into the E-tier story, comment below where in the world you're watching from. Clara pushed through the heavy glass door, brushing raindrops from her cardigan. The maitre d' wasn't at his station, probably in the back. She'd seat herself. The dining room buzzed with soft conversation and clinking silverware. Fresh orchids adorned each table. The air carried notes of truffle oil and aged wine. It was exactly as she remembered, except... "Excuse me?" A sharp voice cut through her thoughts. "Are you lost?" Clara turned to find a young waiter, crisp white shirt, slicked hair, name tag reading Tiago, blocking her path. His eyes swept over her worn sandals and simple dress. "I'm meeting someone," she said quietly. "Really?" His lips curled. "Well, we require proper attire. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at the cafe down the street." Heat crept up Clara's neck. "I'm fine here." Tiago sighed theatrically and grabbed a menu. "Follow me." He led her past the prime tables by the windows, past the romantic alcoves, to a cramped spot near the kitchen doors. "Here we are," he announced, loud enough for nearby diners to hear. "This should suit your needs." Clara sat, fighting the familiar urge to shrink into herself. A woman at the next table whispered to her companion, both glancing at Clara's dress. "Water?" Tiago asked, already pouring before she could answer. As he leaned forward, his elbow caught the glass. Ice water cascaded across Clara's lap. "Oh no," Tiago gasped, his voice dripping with false concern. "How clumsy of me. Though I suppose linen doesn't mix well with budget fashion." Laughter rippled. From a nearby table, Clara stood, water dripping from her skirt. "I'll go." "Ma'am, please." Tiago's voice carried across the dining room. "We do have standards to maintain. Next time, perhaps call ahead. We can recommend more appropriate venues." More guests turned to stare. A man in an Armani suit chuckled. Clara grabbed her damp cardigan. "I understand." "Oh, wait," Tiago called. After her. "You haven't paid the cleaning fee for the water damage to our chair." She froze. The room fell silent. "That's imported Italian leather. Probably costs more than your entire outfit." Clara opened her purse with trembling fingers. "How much?" "Tiago." The voice was soft, controlled, and cut through the restaurant like a blade. Leonardo Nascimento stood in the entrance, rain still beading on his charcoal suit. His eyes, dark and unreadable, fixed on Tiago. The maitre d' rushed forward, face pale. "Senor Nascimento, we weren't expecting..." Clearly, Leonardo's gaze never left Tiago. He walked past the maitre d', each step measured until he stood before Clara. Gently, he draped his jacket around her shoulders. "You're soaked," he murmured, then turned back to Tiago. "A moment ago, you spilled water on my wife." The color drained from Tiago's face. "Your wife?" "Clara Nascimento, co-owner of this establishment. The woman who convinced me to hire you 6 months ago, despite your lack of experience, because she believed everyone deserved a chance." Tiago's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. Leonardo's voice remained dangerously calm. "You asked about payment for the chair. Consider your final paycheck sufficient compensation. You're fired." "But sir, I didn't know..." "That's precisely the problem. You saw a woman in a simple dress and decided she didn't belong. You chose cruelty over kindness, judgment over service." Leonardo addressed the silent dining room. "This restaurant was built on different principles. My mother washed dishes in places like this, places that would never let her dine as a guest. I opened Di Luca to honor her memory, to create a space where dignity isn't determined by designer labels." He looked at Clara. "Would you join me for dinner? Properly this time?" Clara nodded, allowing him to guide her to the best table, the one overlooking the garden. As they sat, the room gradually returned to hushed conversation. "I'm sorry," Leonardo said quietly. "I've been away too long. It's not your fault." "No, but it's my responsibility." He took her hand. "Tell me everything." "It wasn't just tonight. I've been coming here weekly, checking on things while you handled the new locations. Each time, it felt different, colder. The staff started caring more about appearances than service. Starting tomorrow, things change. Leo, you can't fire everyone who... I'm not. We're going to remind them why this place exists." The next morning, Leonardo gathered the entire staff. Clara stood beside him, wearing the same beige dress from the night before, cleaned and pressed. "Some of you have forgotten our mission," Leonardo began. "This restaurant isn't about exclusivity. It's about excellence in service to everyone who walks through our doors." He gestured to Clara. "My wife will be implementing new training protocols starting today." Clara stepped forward. "We're launching Mesa de Verdade, the honest table. Every week, we'll reserve tables for working-class families, students, anyone who normally couldn't afford to dine here. No special treatment, no spotlights, just genuine hospitality." A senior waiter raised his hand. "With respect, won't that dilute our image?" "No," Clara replied firmly. "It will restore it." Over the following months, DeLuca transformed. Clara personally trained each server, sharing stories of Leonardo's mother, how she'd worked 16-hour days to support her family, how she'd taught her son that true elegance came from treating others with respect. The Honest Table program flourished. Teachers, nurses, shop clerks, they all experienced DeLuca's hospitality. Word spread not about the restaurant's exclusivity, but its humanity. One evening, 6 months later, Clara was reviewing reservations when the hostess approached. "There's someone asking about employment," she said. "He says he used to work here." Clara looked up to find Tiago in the doorway, shoulders hunched, pride visibly deflated. I heard you're hiring," he said quietly. "Not for the floor. I applied for the dishwashing position." Clara studied him carefully. "Why?" "Because I need to learn what I missed before. How to serve, not just carry plates. How to see people, not just clothes." Clara nodded slowly. "Be here. Tomorrow at 6 a.m., you'll start in the kitchen like Leonardo's mother did. Work your way up the right way this time." "Thank you." Tiago's voice cracked slightly. "I won't disappoint you again." "Don't disappoint yourself," Clara replied. "That's what matters." A year after that rainy night, Clara watched from her corner table as a woman entered DeLuca. Mid-50s, wearing a simple dress similar to Clara's from that fateful evening, she clutched a worn purse nervously. The hostess, trained by Clara herself, smiled warmly. "Good evening. Welcome to DeLuca. I have a reservation. Santos. Though I'm not sure I can afford..." "Mrs. Santos, of course. You're our Honest Table guest tonight. Please follow me." The hostess led her to a prime table, not hidden by the kitchen or tucked in a corner, but right in the heart of the dining room. As Mrs. Santos settled in, Tiago approached, now a full server again, but transformed. He crouched slightly to meet her eyes. "Welcome to DeLuca, Mrs. Santos. I'm Tiago, and it's my honor to serve you tonight. May I tell you about our specials?" Clara watched the interaction unfold with quiet satisfaction. Leonardo appeared beside her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "Look at him," he murmured. "Remember how he treated you?" People can change when given the chance to see differently. Thanks to you, Leonardo kissed her temple. You didn't just fix a restaurant. You restored its soul. We both did, Clara corrected, then smiled as she watched Tiago carefully explain each dish to Mrs. Santos, treating her with the same reverence reserved for their wealthiest patrons. The rain began again outside, pattering against the windows. But inside DeLuca, warmth radiated from more than just the kitchen. It came from every interaction, every gesture of genuine hospitality, every moment where dignity was honored regardless of attire or affluence. As Clara rose to greet the evening's guests, she caught her reflection in a mirror. Same simple style, same modest demeanor, but now she wore it differently, not as something that diminished her worth, but as a reminder that true elegance has nothing to do with price tags and everything to do with how we treat one another. Sometimes, the most profound transformations begin with a glass of spilled water. Sometimes they start when we choose to see beyond appearances to the humanity that connects us all. And sometimes, in rare and beautiful moments, they happen when we realize that the greatest luxury isn't exclusivity, it's the grace we extend to every soul who crosses our path.